If there's one concept in finance that sounds boring on the surface but is actually mind-blowing once you understand it, it's compound interest. Albert Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Whether or not he actually said that doesn't really matter, because once you see what compound interest can do, you'll understand why it gets described like that. Compound interest is basically the engine that drives long-term wealth, and it's why some people quietly end up rich without ever winning the lottery or earning millions a year. At its core, it's just interest on interest, but that simple phrase hides one of the most powerful forces in money. In this video, we're looking at what compound interest is and why it's important. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps this small channel grow. Before we dive deeper, it's worth pointing out something most people never think about. Compound interest doesn't care who you are, how much you earn, or what your background is. It doesn't favour the smartest people or the richest people. It rewards the most consistent. That's why so many people who never made huge salaries still retire comfortably, while high earners who spend everything end up struggling. Compounding is sometimes referred to as the great financial equalizer, and once you understand it, it completely changes how you look at money. You start to realise that every pound or dollar you invest today isn't just money leaving your account. It's the seed of something much bigger growing in the background. That's why financially savvy people prioritise getting started early, even if they can't invest much. The amount matters less than the habit, because habits turn into decades, and decades are where compounding becomes unstoppable. Think about it like this. Let's say you invest $1,000 at a 10% annual return. In year 1, you earn $100 interest. In year 2, you don't just earn another $100, instead you earn interest on $1,100. So you make $110. In year 3, you earn interest on $1,210, which is $121. It doesn't sound huge, but watch what happens over time. After 10 years, your $1,000 has grown to about $2,593. After 20 years, it's worth $6,727. After 30 years, it's $17,449. You haven't added a single penny more, but your money has quietly multiplied 17 times over. That's the magic of compound interest. It's not fast, it's not flashy, but given time, it's relentless. The real trick is patience. Compound interest rewards people who start early and stick with it, while punishing people who delay. It's worth noting the example we gave earlier of a 10% return is the average annual return of the S&P 500. Of course, you won't get this every year, but over time it averages out at 10%. If we take that same 10% average annual return and you put $10,000 into the market at age 20 and never touch it, by retirement it can turn into hundreds of thousands even without adding more. But if you wait until you're 40 to start, you'll likely never catch up, even if you contribute more. That's why every finance book screams at young people to invest early. It's because the clock is the single most important factor. Here's another way to picture compound interest. Imagine you're rolling a snowball down a hill. At first, it's tiny and unimpressive, but as it keeps rolling, it picks up more snow, and that extra snow makes it grow even faster. By the time it's halfway down, it's massive. That's compound interest. The longer the hill, the bigger the snowball. And when it comes to money, your hill is time. Every year you let your money sit and compound, it gets more powerful. Compound interest can be your best friend or your worst enemy. When you're investing, it works for you. When you're in debt, it works against you. Credit cards are a brutal example. If you owe $1,000 on a card charging 20% interest and don't pay it off, that debt will snowball the same way your investments would have. Instead of building wealth, you're digging a deeper and deeper hole. After just a few years, a small balance can spiral into something unmanageable because compound interest is now working against you. That's why banks love credit cards so much. It's the same mathematical principle, just flipped in their favour against you. It's also worth pointing out that compounding isn't just annual. With modern finance, interest can be compounded monthly, daily, or even continuously. The more frequently it compounds, the faster it grows. For example, $1,000 at 10% compounded annually becomes $2,593 in 10 years. But if the same amount compounds monthly, it grows to $2,707. If it compounds daily, it's $2,718. That small difference adds up when you're talking about large sums of money over decades. This is why high interest savings account, investment funds, and even some debt products make such a big deal about compounding periods. Now let's scale up our example from earlier using a slightly more conservative rate of return. Imagine you invest $500 a month into an index fund that averages a 7% annual return. After 10 years, you'd have about $86,000. After 20 years, you'd have $260,000. After 30 years, $609,000. And after 40 years, over $1.3 million. That's the eighth wonder of the world in action. You've only personally put in $240,000 across those 40 years, but compounding has added more than $1 million on top. And you don't need to be a financial genius or pick the next Apple or Tesla to do this. Just steady, boring investing into an index fund, letting time and compounding do the heavy lifting. This is also why the wealthy seem to get wealthier so easily. Once you have a large amount of capital, compounding turns into a runaway train. If you have $10 million invested at 7%, that's $700,000 of growth in a single year, even if you never lift a finger. And the next year, you're compounding on $10.7 million instead. That's why billionaires can sit on yachts while their money grows faster than most people can earn by working. It feels unfair, but it's the exact same math anyone can take advantage of. It just scales with how much you've got invested. There's also a psychological side to compounding that most people often miss. Because the growth is slow at first, people get discouraged. They invest for a few years, don't see life-changing results, and give up. But the curve is exponential, not linear. The last few years of compounding are where most of the magic happens. If we think about that snowball again, in the beginning you can barely notice it growing. By the end it's huge. The same is true with money. The longer you stick it out, the more dramatic the results get. That's why patience is almost as important as the amount you invest. So why don't more people take advantage of it? The simple answer is human nature. We're wired for instant gratification. We'd rather have $100 today than $200 in a few years. That's why so many people chase quick wins, lottery tickets or day trading schemes. But the reality is, wealth is built by using time to your advantage, not by gambling. Compound interest is boring. It's slow, but it works every single time. And that's why it's so powerful. Because while everyone else is distracted, the patient few quietly let their money multiply in the background. Compound interest is, in my opinion, the closest thing finance has to magic. It can turn modest earners into millionaires. It can trap borrowers in endless cycles of debt. It's not complicated, but it can be unforgiving. The earlier you start, the bigger your results. The longer you wait, the harder it is to catch up. And that's why Einstein, or whoever first said it, wasn't exaggerating when they called it the eighth wonder of the world. Because once you see how it plays out over a lifetime, the results can be incredible. So because compound interest is this powerful, how are you making sure it works for you and not against you? Let me know down in the comments, and please do subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.